Hey everybody, this is Maureen Grudzinski of Dimensions of the Supernatural with my co-host and good friend Anthony Simonelli.
What's up? How you doing?
We have
How you doing?
we have Scott Reddick from PPIT with us, and we're waiting for his beautiful counterpart. She's going to pop in sometime soon. She had some problems with her volume. She could hear us, we could hear her, but
well, actually, I want to clarify. She's actually my team member Eric Jackson's beautiful counterpart. My beautiful counterpart's at work right now.
Correct. Sorry if I worded that really strangely. Sometimes my head gets like going and I speak too quickly. So I guess we could kind of start talking. Oh shoot, that's not what I want to do. Again, my brain works too fast sometimes. So we can start talking a little bit, and then Becca can jump in with us when she's ready. Do I need to send her another link, do you think?
You might need to send it to her real quick. I don't know if she... Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on with that.
All right, let me try to do that. So, hi everybody who's here. We have, let's see, Ron, Marco, Bobby, Eric Jackson, Venus. Hello.
At least we got at least Eric here.
Yeah.
Now you have to wait for his wife.
Yeah, Eric was going to be on to help answer some questions in the chat if needed.
Oh, well. Cool. Awesome. Cool. We got a moderator. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, how you doing, Scott? Everything good down there, huh?
It's going real good, man. Really starting to pick up for us here in the North Carolina area. So we just wrapped up an investigation this past weekend, private residential. Some pretty nasty poltergeist activity. We've been in that house several times. I've actually talked with you about that house a few times. It's the one here in Winston-Salem that had poltergeist activity going on in it. So we finally wrapped that up. We were able to determine it was there was a dark energy there prior that somebody had summoned, but they were not very good at what they were doing. So it was trapped in the house. So we were able to move it along. So that's one good thing. So
that's cool. What was going on? That it was poltergeist.
Well, our first investigations there, which was the ones I initially talked to you about, was we came across an elemental in the house. Actually got a really good photograph of it with UV blacklight, high definition blacklight photography. And through the assistance of Chris Allgood and Aldra, we were able to do a blessing on the house, get it out of the house. And the house was supposed to be protected. But the homeowners, out of the goodness of their heart, invited a family member to come stay with them who was down on their luck. And he was into some not so, nice, religious practices.
Okay.
So he ended up killing one of the cats, killed one of the dogs, did some kind of ritual, brought this entity in, but he wasn't really good at what he was doing. So it created some havoc. It got mad. Every time they would leave the house, they would come back and the house was completely tossed. Like they went to the grocery store, they'd come back and just paint everywhere, mustard, ketchup. Wow. You name it. It was just all over the place. And so they called us back out there, and we had to take care of business again. And Chris actually came down this past weekend so we could finish it up. And the house has been re-blessed. It's been cleansed. So we're we're hoping, fingers crossed, that nothing happens anymore there.
Yeah, yeah. Because those are really hard to get rid of.
They are.
They're not easy. They're not easy to get rid of, and you might have to go back there a couple times because just hopefully it took one time. But they're very strong and a little hard to get rid of.
This would be the second blessing on the house, so hopefully everything's going to, go smoothly now.
I was just going to ask you how many times you'd been there, because it does. I've done a couple of those, and
we've had a grand total of 7 investigations in this house, and 2 of them resulted in blessings on the house. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Hopefully that we can say case closed with it now.
Hopefully, that'd be good. Don't worry about it. We get that all the time.
Yeah.
They always want to get involved, the doggies. They always want to be involved. They're always in the background giving us
my wild beasts.
There you go. Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm coming to you from our new to us mobile command center. Really, my wife and I, we went and we purchased an RV, and it's for our personal use, but we're also making adaptations to it for us to take to like private investigations and everything, and act as a mobile command center. So,
that's great.
Did you get to Gettysburg with you?
Yeah. Well, it depends. The hotel's already booked, completely booked. I missed out on getting booked at the hotel, so we're either going to find a campsite close by or another hotel close by. We haven't completely determined that one yet. It's got a very big fuel tank on it, so fill ups are.
That's a year's worth of food.
Yeah.
You'd have to eat next year.
Yeah, it could be cheaper to stay at a hotel. So
there's we stayed on the battlefield in those cabins, and they're really cool. They're like little log cabins, and they have neat little features to them. But there's a section where you can take your RV there, so that would be a fun place for you to stay.
That would be great. I've never been up there, so I'm not familiar with how close the battlefield is to the actual bash going on. So
it's not far at all.
5-10 minutes down the road. I mean, there were all other campgrounds. I think there was the Trouble Boy campground. I know years ago. I don't know if they take RVs, but I know there's activity going on there on the roads and everything.
Well, after this is over, if you could shoot me a link or something, let me take a look at what we got going on, and we'll
I'll send you what I have too. When we stayed there, I was making dinner, and like they have a kitchen, they have a bathroom, they have bunk beds, they have a bedroom, they have like everything there. They have fire pits and whatever. But while I was making dinner, we heard cannon fodder, and we were told that they never use cannons for any kind of reenactment. So it wasn't a reenactment at all.
Well, and I guess with an area like that, you've got to be careful with what you actually do with any kind of reenactments, because of what you may stir up. Because those who died on that battlefield are probably not very happy that they died on that battlefield.
Well, in July, because that's where the Gettysburg battle was actually first, second, and third.
Right.
So that's where they do a lot of live reenactments. And I actually knew this guy Clint that actually was a reenactor, and he actually did reenactments on that battlefield. And he wasn't much into spirits and stuff. So of course, when I told him, "You're reenacting," oh, cool. I said, "Did you ever see something weird over there?" And he goes, "Yeah, all the time." Because one night they were sitting at the campfire, and they said they see a tree, and it would look like 1,000,000 fireflies in the tree, and there was no fireflies anywhere, and the tree was just blinking on and off. I wonder if that's her. I don't know, Becky, but my phone keeps on ringing.
Becky said she's trying to sign in on another device.
Oh, okay.
I told her just take our time.
Well,
Yeah.
also, they said that they seen when you're walking, it was like two of them walking through like one of the forest, area, because they're still dressed like when they camp there. They camp like from that era.
Right.
Everything's realistic. So they said him and this other guy was walking. It sounded like a bunch of people following him behind him. So they thought the guys they were goofing around. There's nobody there. So yeah, that's interesting.
I tell you what, if I could stay in one of those cabins you were talking about, I would probably set up all my equipment around me as I'm sleeping in the cabin just to see what I can catch while I'm sleeping. So
I do that in my hotel room.
yeah. So
we usually I get something every time I go to Gettysburg.
yeah.
Here she is.
There she is.
Can you hear us
Can you
now?
hear us? Oh no. Becca.
I can hear you now.
Yay!
Yeah. You can hear us now, huh?
We thought that we were going to have
I
to
can.
send out like the reserves to get you.
I was trying on my phone, but for some reason, no matter what I hit, I clicked my picture, all those things, and nothing would bring it up. And then the computer is so old. So I had to get my husband to get my laptop and bring it downstairs.
Aw. Well, we got you now.
Yes.
Yay.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being with us. And your husband's actually busting on Scott, and he doesn't even realize it. He said that you're probably in the RV bathroom, Scott.
Well, no, that would be our other teammate, Everett. The fascination with bathrooms.
Well, he might be there with his laptop because he's commenting as well. So lots of people are joining us. I think they might be part of your team. There's a Jennifer McClure. There's Everett.
Everett's on too. Everett's part of that team also.
Yeah. Hi, Ufi. Let's see. We have lots of people in here tonight. Some new ones. We have a great comment section. We have a lot of the same people come every week. They're all very interested in the supernatural of all sorts and kinds. A lot of alien lovers.
Well, I did. I shared the link with my one of my old EMS partners, Tori, and she's also a new mommy now. So just want to say hi to her.
Well, congratulations. We're very happy for you as well.
Okay. Rebecca. Rebecca or Becca? What do you
Either one, just don't call me Becky. Sir Mix-a-Lot messed up in middle school.
She's a fighter like me.
Rebecca, Becca, no Rebecca. Oh, Becky. Okay. By the end of the night, I probably remember your name anyway. That's because I got all my brain cells were left in the 70s.
Things that we want about.
Yeah.
But so I see that you started well with your bio you started a thing for what's it called I got it written down somewhere here.
Empowering awareness.
Empowerment. Empowerment awareness. That's pretty cool. Empowerment awareness. That got to do with you teaching people I'm forgetting now. I'm clogged up right now. I just had nose surgery, so I can't breathe.
Oh no!
And I can't think. So
he just cover his mouth. That's it.
That's it. And my mouth's so dry because I'm breathing through it. So I'm not a mouth breather usually.
Gotcha. Well, and I've been talking all
dried up.
I'm a therapist by trade.
Oh,
do
yeah, I know. I see that. A health therapist. Maybe you could give me some advice now because no, I'm just kidding. But what's that all about? The empowering. The rest. You say the rest. I get
it. You're good. So, I have been an empath all of my life. I remember even in childhood, I would just know things, could easily read people, knew what to say. People always came to me when they needed advice and things like that. Part of why I'm a therapist now. And when back in April, I decided that I wanted to create a business where I could help people. So I started doing coaching with people that are empaths and highly sensitive people. As I've gotten back into the mental health therapy, I've had to cut back on the coaching some, but I do Reiki. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's energy healing. I also do mediumship. Coaching comes through. When I do a tarot reading, a lot of the feedback I get is that Rebecca didn't tell me what the card said. She explained them, and then she told me what I needed to change and gave me some advice on how some things differently. So thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer has had a reading from me before. Scott, Eric's calling you out again.
I actually can't see the comments.
But yeah, with empowering awareness, I wanted to.
You're smiling, Eric.
You may be on the private chat.
I'm not sure.
Oh, thank you, Lady V Element or 5 Elements. I love Reiki too.
I do as well.
So that's interesting. So
Oh, there it is.
You've been doing that all your life. That's cool. I'm planning coming down
being
one
an
day
empath,
with
yeah.
you guys to work with you guys. So we'll be working together soon, sooner or later. You know, I met that guy next year.
That would be great. We love meeting.
Transal game. You know, yeah. So
I want to go there.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the most haunted places I've ever been to.
Yeah, you had some interesting experiences there, Anthony. With whatever it was, like threw something at you or something like that.
Yeah, and I got that video. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was.
Something thrown at me, hit me in the chest.
Did you take it off?
And huh?
I don't think it would take much to take.
I said, did you take it off?
Building.
Did I take it off? No.
Gotcha.
When something was thrown at me, you want to start taking it off? We're going to lose people very quickly. People are just going to go right off the show if they see me like that. Kidding? Without this shirt, forget it. You know, I look like something.
I don't have any dollars.
This is not uncensored.
Clearly.
You give me the dollars to put it back on, I'll tell you right now. But yeah, something hit me. I got it on video. I got on my video camera. You can see me get hit, and I'm going out looking for it. But I also wear a body cam, and whatever hit me, it showed up with the body cam. So that was pretty cool.
Oh wow!
You know? Yeah. So I got that. So I got that evidence. I got a bunch of things there. So, yeah. But you got some good pictures too. In those windows.
We got some pretty good stuff there too. We got some good audio too. There. So we had a really, really good SD session, or SD's method, you know, however you want to say it, sensory deprivation. And it was actually quite funny. Everett's not going to, like me making comments about, because we offered him up to the ladies on the women's ward, and they said nope.
Everett, sorry, kid.
Everett gets picked on a lot in our investigations.
This is a good-hearted guy.
Yeah. You know? Oh, he's a great guy. I've known him. He and I have been best friends since high school, and I tell you, he's definitely one of a kind, and I wouldn't trade him for anyone else. So that's so.
Yeah. The bunch of us hung outside smoking cigars all night outside.
Oh yeah,
outside the hotel.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. I'm gonna have to light up here in just a second. I gotta grab something real quick for an ashtray. I forgot that.
So. Yeah, I'm getting a box of Cubans this weekend. My cousin's giving.
Oh, See,
I'm like, oh,
no.
I don't know if it's going to be. I don't know if they're going to be still around by the time we hang out again in Gettysburg.
I hear
But
you.
Gettysburg has a cigar thing, cigar.
We do. It's cigars
Oh,
and coffee.
yeah, and the guy's
Yeah.
good, and it's good prices and stuff.
He does
Yeah,
have good stuff.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we get up there. We're gonna have to light a stick up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're gonna burn some sticks and have a couple of beers, some
Yeah,
brewskis.
man. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I think Becca's having some connection problems.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
It's just
That's usually me.
reminding-
That's usually me every week. That'd be me
Yeah,
like an hour or two.
Yeah. Ron's getting a lot of mileage out of the I don't know where I'm at. So,
Boy, yeah. I
So-
keep like everybody's still sitting there. Where am I?
yeah.
I don't know who I am. I'm like, oh boy.
But
Especially Chris and Ron and all those people.
She said she
People are
can't catch a break. Her battery died.
oh no.
What is going on today?
This is a normal week. Somebody has to go off.
So Ron, who owns ERRT Radio, said, how would that work with tarot readings if everyone has the gift of tarot reading? That is, I'm not sure what he means by how would
I'm
that
not really
work?
sure. I don't understand it myself, and I have to be very, very honest. When I first started the team, I was very skeptical about the metaphysical side of everything.
And you're in the wrong place right now.
Yeah, well, here's but that has changed. I have to say I've been won over, because I come from a law enforcement background. Therefore, anything I consider evidence has to be quantifiable, which a lot of times metaphysical is not quantifiable. However, when you meet people like Chris Allgood and Becca,
It's amazing.
it's and the residential investigation we were talking about, before we went on the first investigation to it. On the second investigation to it, all I did was send Chris the address to the location. He and we live approximately an hour apart, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He lives really close to Charlotte, North Carolina. It's about an hour's drive between the two of us. And to this house, probably a little over an hour. Within minutes, he is sending me messages. He says, "Who's Michael?" I'm like, "Well, Michael's the current owner of the house." And he said, "Something doesn't like Michael or Mike." The guy goes by Mike. And then he says, "Who's Marie?" And I had already done my research on this property. Marie was the original homeowner. She passed away in 2016, I believe. She was 90 years old. She passed away in a local nursing home.
Okay.
But she was present in the house. And we had gotten Marie's name on a spirit box session as well. So I was able to correlate what evidence we had gotten on the spirit box with actual property deed records. But I didn't tell Chris any of this when I sent him the address. And he went out and did just a blind reading on this place. And the information he was coming back with was consistent with evidence we had already gotten, and I was like, "Holy shit!" What is going on here? And when we went back out there on was it third or fourth investigation? It was your first investigation with us, Becca?
It must have. I think it was the third because you guys have been twice. So then I I just tagged along. Eric has become part of the team. That's my husband. And I was like, do you think they'll mind if I go? Because I've always, like I said, been able to pick up on things, and I've suppressed it for a long time because people would be scared or wouldn't understand it. And I'm in the mental health field, so you don't want to seem crazy.
But on that investigation, Chris came along as well. And at that point, we started learning how strong of an empath Becca was. Things she was picking up on in the house that I guess at that point it would be fair to say from an investigative standpoint she was fairly new to doing. But we were impressed with what she did. That by the end of that investigation, I brought the team together and we immediately voted her in as a member of the team that night. So, but after that night, I was very open to accepting the metaphysical side of this, and now it has become a big part of our team. Again, nothing that comes across it is quantifiable, but again, from when I was a law enforcement officer, you get a lead, you follow up on the lead. If the metaphysical gives me a lead and I follow up on that lead, and evidence comes as a result of that lead, then you've got something that is very useful to you. So, can I ever say anything that Becca? Can I ever put out there that anything that Becca or Chris gives me as hardcore evidence to the community? Probably not. But,
except for the EVPs that I hear with my ears, that you only hear with the recorder.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that was
amazing, isn't it?
That night was okay. So it was just me and Becca in the house. We were in the back bedroom of this house. I have we had just invested in a live listening EVP recorder and a very good set of headphones. So we're in the back bedroom. I hear a scream come across the recorder. I'm like, did you hear that? She's like, yeah, I heard it, but I also heard it when I first got here as well. So we go back, we finish up what we're doing, go back out, and we're like, yeah, we heard a scream, but we think it may have came from outside. And everybody out there, Chris was out there, the rest of the team was out there, and like, nobody screamed. And so, I heard it, she heard it, and we're the only two that heard it. So, and fortunately, I do have that recording saved in our evidence. So,
yeah. And then there was, and I think this was one of the other things that impressed you that first night. Scott had given out some information in a floor plan. I didn't look at any of it. I pretended to look through it. I didn't want to know the information. I wanted to see what I got. And he was coming over to the homeowner's bedroom and he's like, do you feel anything in here? And I'm like, no, but I'm like, I feel like I need to go to this door. And the door was closed. I was like, I don't know what's back there, but my chest is starting to hurt. I'm having a hard time breathing. Just was having a hard time catching my breath. The EMF reader was going up to over 100. Like it was going on.
It was pegging out. So.
And he goes, well, that's interesting. And I'm thinking, okay, what? And he said, that door leads to the bathroom where the homeowner's ex-wife had a seizure and a heart attack and then died in the hospital later.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I was experiencing that residual energy of her having that heart attack and the fear and everything that went with it.
Yeah. So, and that was pretty amazing too. I was like, this is absolutely crazy, but she nailed it on the head with that.
So, Becca, when did you actually notice that you had these? Like, did you notice that you had these abilities when you were really little, and people just didn't know about it?
Yeah. So I remember times when I would just know things that I shouldn't know, and you'd see like the looks on people's faces, or sometimes my dad, he would get frustrated if I would share with people that, I've seen this happen. And There was one particular moment I remember that. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to pray that I wouldn't see or hear spirits. So I suppressed it for a long time, but I'd have dreams that would come true that would freak friends out. I still remember with one of my best friends in middle school, I'm like, this has already happened and this is what's going to happen. And she's sitting there white-faced, white like a ghost, looking at me like I'm crazy. And so you learn to not talk about it. And then, like I said, I've worked in mental health. And so, and sometimes I just know the right question. I'll have a client talking surface stuff and the right question that they haven't even talked about comes into my mind. And that gets them to open up about things. So it's always been there, but I haven't always, I've tried to suppress it a lot until this last year when I was like, I'm tired of not being myself and having this part of me that I'm not talking about. So that's where empowering awareness came about, to help others so they don't have to feel like they're crazy or they need to suppress themselves. Once Chris acknowledged me that first night and said, you're an empath. And I was like, yes, because I already knew that. Since then, I've stretched my ability to just grown.
Yeah, that's easy to admit to say that you're an empath, because everybody's, an empathic. It's
Right.
just like just a word. It's just a word.
Right.
But
Well, there's always what we call intuition. Everybody has that. But I guess it's with Becca and Chris's, situation. I guess you could say their intuition is more in tune than mine.
Yeah.
So,
And Scott's helped me to really, like he'll even send me things sometimes, like, you want to look at this just for fun and see what I can pick up on. And then he'll be like, yeah, Chris got this, and so that validation really helped. And then doing the tarot readings, I've even done readings where I don't even see the person. I'm like, give me a question. And somebody literally said, what now? And then the feedback they gave me was that it was as if I was sitting there with them and listening to the conversation that they had just had.
Yeah.
A perfect example of that would be our team went down to the USS North Carolina to do an investigation. Got fabulous evidence there. But before the investigation, it was a joint investigation between our team and Chris and Aldra and another team. Well, member of one of the other teams was passing around a photo. She went and did like the ghost tour in Wilmington, North Carolina, and had taken some pictures and everything, and got an interesting photo. So I sent the photo to Becca and said, just for fun, take a look at this. And she does a reading on it. She's seeing. Well, I'll let you explain what you saw, but we were able to corroborate the reading she was getting with actual history of the property that was passed on to that team member from the ghost tour. So I'll let you tell them what you saw, and I'm gonna go grab an ashtray from a smoke real quick.
So it was funny because the photo literally was the side of a building, but it was narrow, just a window over a window. That's the photo. And so I saw a little boy in one of the window panes, and then a little girl and a baby. And I'm looking and I see I had my eyes closed after I looked at the photo and saw that. And I see like orange going like this. So to me, that was flames. And I hear this desperate voice, just in agony, this female voice saying, it was an accident. They died in the fire. And it was just over and over and over again that I heard that. And so that was all I was getting at that point. Because I think Chris and the EVPI team was on their podcast, and I was trying to hop off so I could watch that. So I send that to Scott, and then he comes back to me. And what was it? There had been a fire in a slave quarter on the property.
There had been a fire in the slave quarters because, unfortunately, Wilmington does have that history. But the slave quarters had caught fire, and some children had passed away in the fire. So, and that's actual documented historical facts of that property. So.
Wow, that's interesting. Chris Allgood is a great guy to learn from too. He'll show you all kinds of stuff and explain it. He's been doing it a long time. Yeah.
He and his wife are they're really good friends of mine. They're like my go-to people. I go to them for advice. They're just the best people ever. I just love them.
Chris helped me a lot, especially there was one house we didn't end up investigating because of some things that we just didn't feel were safe. But I had wanted to see how far I could go in testing my abilities. And so I didn't ground and protect myself like I usually do and just tapped into the location and ended up actually experiencing brutal murder of one of the spirits that was there as if it was me. And it shook me for a couple of days because
it's strange, isn't it?
I felt myself go cold. I felt the punches. I felt everything that happened. And Chris was like, Becca, you can't do that. That's how mediums go crazy. For me, on one hand, it was validating, and on the other, it was like, yeah. So now with our team, with the people that are new to being empaths, that I'm helping to learn to ground and protect themselves, I'm like, make sure that you're doing that before the investigation. We have a pre-investigation huddle where I try to help ground and protect the team before we even go into the location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking to that, I mean, when you get a team as large as ours and as diverse as ours is, we finally had to sit down and come up with, I guess you call it a written set of rules for the team. And one of the most important rules on that is the grounding and protection meeting that we have. Well, it's a safety briefing, grounding and protection meeting that we have before we go into a location. We don't step foot into the location until we've had that meeting. So that's something that's very, very important to us. So
Yeah. Before you do a big location anyway, you should always have the ground rules, how, respect everything, and of course, respect each other, and, go in, and do what you got to do. But like I said, the biggest thing is respect each other, protect yourself, and that's pretty much two of the biggest things there.
right.
Protection. Because as much as you're gonna protect yourself, something may follow you home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I had that many times. Things follow me home. So it's you can protect all you want, but I've been doing this longer than you've been on this earth, Rebecca.
I'm probably older than you think, but I can believe you.
I've been doing it for over 40 years.
Okay, I'm 43.
You're 43?
Yeah.
You look like you're in your early 30s.
I know.
You look like a young kid.
I didn't believe it either when she told me, and I'm like, no.
November
You're still young enough to be my daughter, you know what I'm saying?
But
not granddaughter yet, but daughter.
But yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned in large locations there, Anthony, but still small locations take this residential we just wrapped up. You don't know what you're going to run into. You could run into something that's as big or bigger than, say, the dark man or the shadow man at Waverly.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you could run into something that's deeper and darker than that. But I got really good photographs of that shadow man on that floor with UV high def photography, and but you never know what you're going to run into. You could run into an outhouse attached to a property, and run into a very dark spirit, other than the dark spirits that are in the toilet. So
well, you ever ride the New York City subways? You don't tell me about dark until you go down there.
Never been to New York City. I tell you what,
the subways down there. How many people died just to make those subways?
Oh yeah.
They call them the what do you call it? The hog, something like that. and they dig the subways and stuff. And back then, it's did with shovels and some machines, but you know those subways are over 120 years old.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been on the tube in London. I lived there for a while, so it's I think very similar, the history and things. Well, and then Whitechapel, Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper, yeah.
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 I'm into those serial killer type things. I was supposed to be doing a documentary on all that stuff, but things didn't go the way we wanted to. But yeah, but you know Jack the Ripper, and you know he has ties with New York, not New York, in Ohio and Chicago. You know, with was it J.J. Holmes? You know, so yeah, I'd love to go see that.
Well, so that means you got some free time now for me to make a trip up there and we go in and investigate somewhere, huh?
Come on, why not?
I'm always up for something.
I'll have to get up with you on that. So
I've been retired now. It's like it gets boring sometimes. Like you know, because what it is, there's nobody home during the day except for me. You know, all my friends are still working.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like no, I just you know I do go out, but sometimes you want to be with somebody just to go somewhere. You know, because by me there's cemeteries, and the cemeteries by me have it's so much history in there from all the mobsters to actors, actresses, and all that stuff. And you go there once in a while. You know, I'll go there just if I have nothing, I have nothing to do. If I just have my recorder from my cell phone, I go into a place, I do EVPs and stuff like that.
Right.
But I'm also sensitive, so I see things, I hear things also. So.
Right.
But you were in the Navy, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Okay, so graduated high school, went in the Navy for 4 years.
Thank you for your service.
Got to see a lot of the world. Was stationed, you know, Becca was in London for a while. I lived in Iceland for almost 2 years. So, stationed there. And I tell you what, that's another country that has a very, very rich history as well. Of course, at that time, I wasn't very much into the paranormal, but I could only imagine what's there now. And
there's a mist there's a mist forming around you. Is that paranormal?
Yeah, it's called the.
I'm sorry.
The tobacco energy.
Iceland.
Oh, and I read Eric's comment there. No smoking in the RV. Eric, it's my RV, so yes, I'll smoke in it. So.
That's right.
So, but I guess that's another place that I've always wanted to go back there as a civilian and just enjoy the country. When I was there as a very, very young man in the Navy, I had other things on my mind in my free time that didn't involve anything with the paranormal. It normally surrounded around either going to clubs, drinking, and those of the opposite sex.
What else is there? Club, drinking, paranormal.
Yeah. So, so I would love to go back over there. Take my wife over there. She's always wanted to see the Northern Lights. Go up there. I've heard that the Northern Lights can stir up a lot of paranormal energy as well.
All that electricity in the air.
Yeah, and so I'd love to go up there, maybe find some place to investigate. Hopefully during, while the Northern Lights are going on. But then again, part of me is like, do I go in here and investigate, or do I, go out here with my wife so we can watch the Northern Lights? So, you got to find the balance. So
last week we had a guy that was here that he was also in the Navy. Guy Norm.
Yeah.
And I asked him what you were, because you're in the Navy, you spend a lot of time underwater. Have you seen anything weird out there? You know, something that could be explained from anything from spirits, UFOs, or, you know, the Kraken?
I can't say that I haven't, but I also can't say that I have. There's certain things
Classified.
that even now I did carry a fairly high security clearance, and there are certain things that I still to this day I can't talk about. So
That's fair enough.
so I'm not going to sit here and say that I haven't. I'm not going to say that I have either. So
Take it to fifth.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Goofy wants to know, is there any correlation between the supernatural and sunspots? What do you guys think?
I mean, a sunspot can seriously affect our energy grids,
So like solar flares.
solar flares, yeah, and all
Yeah.
that. I
And
mean,
solar. Oh, sorry.
they can cause brownouts. They can seriously affect an electrical grid. I can only imagine that if they can affect those energy sources, that they can affect paranormal energy sources as well. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, what are we talking about with spirits? We're talking about energy. Everything. Right. You and I are energy. Spirits are energy. That's exactly what they are. That's how we measure them with an EMF meter, electromagnetic field. We are measuring energy. We are trying to communicate with energy. So I can only imagine that sunspots, solar flares, whatever you want to call them, it's going to have some effect on them as well.
And it does for us also. Like, especially if you're highly sensitive, you may have headaches, nausea, feeling off, all those things.
Uh-huh.
And they
High
say
EMF.
that,
That's just in a house. If you're in a house and you got high EMFs coming out of the panel or anywhere that's electrical, you're going to get those headaches and nauseousness and dizziness, and you're confused, and
right.
You'll see things that might not be there, you know, hallucinations. So yeah. So,
and they say that the grid is kind of along the same path as ley lines.
Right.
So, I mean, it could have something to do with that.
yeah,
that's very true as well. So
yeah.
How many? So you guys have 10 members on your team. Does
yes,
everyone lend something different to the team, or do you have like a couple of people that do the same kind of thing?
Scotty brings cigars.
Well, you know, me and Everett definitely have the cigars covered.
Yeah.
So
I know they've got to be talking shit in the chat, because I have to keep switching between my screen and the chat.
Well, Eric said that you fed the Loch Ness monster and shared Reese's Pieces with ET.
Well, you know, Eric's a special person to begin
and
with.
You met Bigfoot.
I think he's picking up the ammonia things inside the ambulance and sniffing them.
But no, actually, we do have Becca and Jennifer, and recently discovered my wife Heather, and Io, who was our newest member,
and Zach,
who are all you know, empaths to varying degrees, but I would say probably at this point Becca is our strongest one on the team.
But like Chris told the team at the last investigation, the more they're around me, just like the more I talk to him, the more their gifts are going to grow, the more they're going to be more sensitive.
Right. And
I think it rubs off as long as you allow them to I don't want to say steal or borrow, but like share your gifts.
Right. Like our vibration elevates everybody else's vibration.
Yes.
Right. But and also on our team, you know, Eric and I are pretty much on the more technical side of everything. Eric is actually our tech manager, and so and Mike Bennett, our Zach Bennett, our team manager, Zach Bennett's father, he does a lot of thermal video and photography work for us. We actually got some interesting stuff at St. Albans and at Montgomery House through some of his work. So yeah, that was really interesting as well. But Zach, he's kind of a mix between the metaphysical and the technical side. He goes with both. Everett, even though he's seen some stuff, he's seen some evidence and everything, still is kind of our team skeptic. If he looks at something and he thinks it's bullshit, he's going to call it.
And the spirits will call him out too.
Yeah, spirits will call him out. They've actually called him stuff like asshole and all kinds of stuff. I mean,
which came through my mouth through the sensory deprivation.
The sensory deprivation session. I called Everett an asshole. So, so you know, but I mean, he is there to kind of be that kind of, you know, balance for us, which I think is very important. You know, it would be easy for us to go off and say, ooh, we found something that's over here, and he's going to look at it and say, we might want to take another look at that. So, and he's done that several times. So, and come to find out, it wasn't what we thought it was, and you know, so thanks to him, we have that balance there. And I don't think it's as much. He doesn't believe that there's not anything out there, but I think he's more skeptical about certain events and how it came about and how it all transpired, and then he'll let us know. And then we have, our two newest members, actually, Io and Larry, just came on. You met Larry, Anthony, at Trans-Allegheny. He was with Connie and Donna. He's Connie's brother.
Oh, okay.
And I was impressed with Larry from the start, from that investigation. He and I and my wife Heather did an interview. We spoke with what we determined to be a nurse on the children's ward that worked there in the 1940s. He had an EMF detector with him, and he was videoing it the entire time that when we would ask questions, and we were getting direct responses on the EMF detector to the questioning that Larry was doing. And it's really good. I'm actually in the process with our video software now, trying to produce that video to go on our YouTube channel for people to see. And it was really, really good. I was impressed with Larry's work from the start, and he was kind of wanting to, get with another team to learn other stuff, expand his horizons as well. So he messaged me, and we took him on the team. So he's going to be kind of an expert in that field of doing like EMF interviews and stuff like that. Io is another empath, but she's ready to add the investigation side to her abilities. So I'm really excited to have these two new members. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make it to last weekend's investigation. Larry is a truck driver. He had a load that he had to take out of state, and Io was, I guess,
The investigation that we were doing, like when I tapped in, there was a very, very dark entity that was in the home. And I went to high school with her. I think middle school too. So we've known each other for a long time and reconnected. She is highly gifted, but she's also newer. And so what she picked up on when she was talking with her spiritual guidance and everything was that this may be a little bit too much for her to start out with on her first investigation. And so we completely respect and understand that, because we want everybody, like you were saying, Anthony, to be protected and to feel safe and grounded to do these things.
Yeah, because that investigation could have gone very wrong if we didn't do it right, and I did not want her to be in any kind of danger of something following her home or anything happening in the house. The homeowner had actually had a die-cast metal car thrown at him in the home. So whatever it was trying to be violent. And so it's something we had to be careful with.
Yeah.
So, I completely understood. She came out and we tried to go somewhere and eat together as a team before investigations as well. So she came out and introduced herself and everything. So I think she's going to fit in great. She got to see a little bit of our crazy side as well. So, speaking of crazy side, we do have a team crazy person, and that is Sarah.
We did forget to mention her. Oh no.
I know. I want to make sure we mention Sarah. She's my wife's best friend, and she's been with us since the beginning. I guess she's one of the original members of the team, but she's just a hoot to be around. You met her also, Anthony, at Tala. So,
yeah, she was in the car with you when you guys pulled up.
Yeah. She's so you got to experience a little bit of that craziness as well. So.
Is that where she said she had been writing red rum on the mirrors or whatever, and then it actually came across?
Yes, that was when before we formed the team. She and Heather had been to Tala before, and they were being all kinds of crazy up there, but they got a recording. Sarah was going around the whole place going red rum, from The Shining and everything. And but later on, she and my niece, who was with them, they had gone back to the car. They were tired. They were asleep in the car. And my wife and her sister went through with a recorder, and they picked up on their recorder red rum. So,
wow!
Oh my God, it's amazing.
As an EVP. So that was kind of crazy. And the funny thing is they listened to that like several times, and then all of a sudden that file disappears. Yes.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, well, let's think. These energies, they know how to mess with the equipment. They
do.
I actually, with the residential we just wrapped up, when we were still dealing with the elemental, that elemental, I believe, fried a full spectrum camera of ours. Brand new, paid almost $200 for this thing. First investigation with it, and it runs fine all the way up till we get this loud crash in the house. 10 seconds later, that camera overheats and has not booted back up since.
Ooh.
So,
and it was draining batteries like crazy.
Oh yeah,
that was on.
Yeah,
that's not good. Yeah, because the battery heated up.
Mm-hmm.
It was too much of a charge.
Yep.
That's usually a body doesn't usually overcharge. It doesn't melt down the camera because it's the only way you can overcharge is by adding electricity to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like it's...
when I pulled it apart, the battery inside of it had got so hot that it had expanded the battery.
Oh wow!
Wow, bellied it. Yeah.
And I had tested this camera multiple times before we ever went in that house. It ran perfectly here at my house and everywhere else. at the end of that investigation, that we like I said, we heard a loud crash inside the house. We were outside, gathering together to kind of talk some things out and everything. We heard this loud crash in there, and then we were like, what was it? We were focused on whatever the crash was. So I go back in there, and when we do a breakdown, and I put my hand on this camera, and it is blazing hot. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? I check it, it's not running, it won't boot up, it won't do anything. And so, I get it home. Fortunately, it saved the files on the SD card before it shut down. I was able to retrieve the SD card out of it, and that's about all, we were there. So I basically have a $200, single, file that I was able to get with this camera.
But it makes sense if you've seen the photo from the pantry that they got with what looks almost like a red lightning bolt.
Yeah.
That's a lot of energy that it takes to make something like that, and it looks powerful.
Yeah. If you go on our YouTube channel, you'll see I've already produced the video for that elemental, and you'll see that photo on it. And if you look at our logo for PPIT now, our official logo has that elemental integrated into the logo now, because still to this day, probably the most fantastic piece of evidence we've gotten so far.
And expensive.
Yeah.
You can't take the battery out of it and do anything with that. It just melts out.
No, I tried a new battery in it, and it won't boot up. So whatever it did, it fried the guts of that camera.
Fried that thing, yeah.
The battery, the whole deal. So that was $200 down the tube. So.
I hate losing equipment on investigations.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I lost plenty of things on investigations.
Oofy said people that live near a high-power airport radar may experience phenomena, which is really strange that she would bring that up, because I live very close to an airport, and I want to run two things past you guys, because these two things happened in the same week in my house, and I want to see what you think of this.
All right.
So my husband is a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
He came home after a very long night, walked into the house. We have one of those like latches where it's like the long bar with the ball at the end, and it goes into the latch and it slides through it, not the chain lock, the other kind.
Right.
He latched that.
Kind of like the hotel door lock.
Right. And then locked the door from the knob. He went over, he sat on the couch, and he said it was dark in the house because it was early, and the dogs went over and sat with him. He said the dogs started to go crazy, and he hears a click and another click, and then this gust of cold air is around him. And then he said he looked over, it started to look a little brighter by the door, and he saw a 5'7" to 5'10" shadow dart up the stairs. And he got up and he looked up the steps, and there was nothing there, but the dogs were going crazy, and the door was wide open.
Has he ever experienced a paranormal experience before?
Well, he's gone with me to do, because of what I do for a living, but he said he's experienced strange things because things just flock to me, and I've taken him on many paranormal investigations.
Mm-hmm.
So he's seen a lot of weird, and he's seen me do weird things because I'm an energy mover and worker, and I do Reiki.
They're attracted to us. It's almost like we have this beam of light that draws them in.
Yeah. So that happened. And he said, I just thought I didn't close the door, and I just shook my head. And I said, but then the thing darts up the stairs, and then all these other things happen. So I go to bed a couple days later, and I sleep face down, and I heard footsteps that actually woke me up, but they weren't footsteps like with shoes on. They were footsteps kind of as if they were bare feet or socked feet, but loud enough to wake me up. But I'm a mom, so I listen to puking, and that wakes me up, and somebody standing over, so whatever. So, but it almost sounded more like the floor was moving, and that's what woke me up, not the footsteps.
Carpet floors or hardwood?
Hardwood. So I kind of looked around, and the dogs were not barking, so that seemed strange. And everyone was still asleep in the house, and when I looked out, the stairs come right up, and then there's like a landing with the hallway, and that's where my bedroom door is. And there was nothing there, but that's where it stopped. And there was a 4-foot tall energy being. So I couldn't see a person. I saw a 4-foot energy, because I can see energy. I don't.
Okay, so the energy around it, did it look kind of have a lightning bolt appearance to it within it?
For me, energy looks like an oil slick.
Okay.
Yeah, it's different for all of us. So like when Chris was asking me what I saw at the last investigation, and I was saying, as I'm growing, if I close my eyes, I can see what it looks like. But if I am just looking, for me, it's a darker shadow. Like even Maureen, the first investigation I was on, she was a shadow because I couldn't see her with my eyes.
So when I looked at it, it was kind of almost like a flare around the edges, kind of like if you see an oil puddle. Okay. So it was kind of like colorful, but it was like shooting out.
Yeah, that's how I saw Sarah's person when I was doing the Reiki on her, and the person that was a mother figure for her stepped forward. That's what I told her. I said she was a light being, because she said, "What color is her hair?" I said, "I don't know, but I can tell you what her features looked like."
Yeah. So if I closed my eyes or I looked away, I can tell you it wasn't human.
Gotcha.
It was alienish. And I believe after my husband told me what he saw, that was alien as well.
Shape-shifting?
I think the thing that darted up the stairs probably was going to try to make itself look human. But to me, I think for him, it was like terrified of him because of him being kind of afraid of it, because he's not like me. For me, I've actually experienced being taken, and it didn't faze me. I was more like curious, and they played games with me. They were like, the sheet fell off me, and I was like, ooh, look at this. And they pulled the sheet back up, and I pulled it back down, and I was like, I need to see more of this. And they got pissed off, so they pulled it back up, and I pulled it back down. And then one of the beings at the end of the table, they were all circling me. It kind of like, and they thought it was funny because I thought it was funny. But the other thing next to me was like, this chick's getting real annoying because she's like curious.
Mm-hmm.
And it would like roll its eyes and do that. And I was like, this is so funny. It was very sarcastic.
Any history with the house or the property?
Nope.
Okay. What you were describing to me sounds a lot like an elemental.
There are elementals in this house. There's a water nymph in the cabinet downstairs that actually will jump out and jump onto my finger, and it's filled with like snow globes, and it's cute. It's like this little tiny pixie. And my husband was like, quit screwing with those things. They're bad. And I'm like, there is no good or bad. It's only positive or negative and perception and intention. And she's cute.
Well, by definition of what you've described to me is almost identical to the elemental we ran into at our residential location. the energy.
I don't think this is negative. I really think that these are like alienish, and they're coming to try to fix me because I'm not well.
Well, our elemental that we dealt with in the first round of investigation was more of a jokester, kind of wanted to play around, wanted to be, just wanted to get your attention. It had no ill intentions at all. It just wanted to just kind of be, playful to a degree, but maybe a little more to a degree than the homeowner was, comfortable with. But everything you described is almost identical to what we dealt with the elemental in that residential investigation. So you almost perfectly described it with everything you got going on with what we ran into. So all the way from the kind of energy aura around it, if you have a chance to look at the logo for our team, you'll see like the red aura around it. I'm going to guess it's probably very similar to what you saw, or even take a look at the video on our YouTube channel. You're probably going to see a lot of similarities there. But that's what it sounds like to me. I mean, what do you think, Becca?
I was trying to think as she was describing. I mean, that could be one theory. I'm not as well versed in aliens. I've seen, objects in the sky and things like that. So I'm not really knowledgeable on that. I think, Maureen, you have much more knowledge on that than I do.
I've seen energy
the airports and stuff.
Yeah.
I live 5 minutes from LaGuardia and 15 minutes from Kennedy Airport. And I did investigations by LaGuardia Airport, about a mile down the road from it. There's so many waves that come out of there, electrical. We had a K2, and half the night the K2 was spiking it to the red. It kept on spiking it to the red. Every couple, it's like, what happened? So, and then every so often it would go into the orange. You go into the center orange. So I'm like, okay, let's try to debunk this. Let's see what we can do. And remember, I'm a mile from LaGuardia Airport at that time. And I sat there, and we could still hear the engines rev up before they took off at the airport, at LaGuardia Airport. You hear, when it did that, my K2 spiked into the red.
Wow.
Then I'm like, okay, let's stay still. And I did that a couple times to make sure that was the answer. Okay. Then we heard helicopters going overhead, and the thing spiked into the orange. I'm like, and that happened a couple of times. So I feel that close to the airport, you're getting all the waves, electrical, anything, EMF, the waves that's in the air and everything. And with all that energy that's in the air, just a mile away, this woman had entities coming in and visiting her at nighttime.
Yeah.
And actually attacking her and scratching her. So we did that case for about 4 years.
Right.
And she ended up moving because we couldn't get rid of this.
Right.
But with all that around the airports, yes, you can have UFOs and aliens.
It reminds
all those waves.
It reminds me of Skinwalker Ranch, where the activity seems to heighten whenever there's the radio readings.
But also
spirits also. I mean, there's cases where there's locations there with high energy coming from the earth. There's the EMF from the earth, and there's UFOs. There's cryptics, all kinds of Bigfoots and all kinds of creatures and spirits. So when you have something like that, yeah, maybe everything has some kind of connection. You really can't say yes, no, because doing this such a long time, I came across different people that do different things, and a lot of stuff they say we're talking about as paranormal investigators. And then it's like, well, Bigfoot came. Where's Bigfoot come from? They don't see him afterwards.
Hmm.
Aliens from the sky. So you don't know
Yeah.
if you're coming across alien at sometimes, spirits, or some kind of cryptics. I also came across. I see a couple of cryptics, and I see some kind of light
Yeah.
anomalies. I can't talk. That I can't, explain too. So when it comes to that, that's why we're paranormal investigators. Everything's paranormal, not just ghosts.
Right.
So
I always explain to
possible
people, oh, sorry, that,
it's possible that she did see an alien too,
mhm,
or
yeah,
elemental, because the
It's
area has the waves in the air that actually brings these things into one location or into a location from the airport between to our house. So
mhm,
anything's possible.
well, yeah, and to that point, whether it's alien or elemental or other spirit, they all feed off of energy.
mhm,
And you were talking about how your meth meter spiked out as a jet engine was starting up. Well, I was a law enforcement officer for 12 years, and then I went into emergency medicine. But in that time period, while I was in school to become an EMT and then become a paramedic, I worked with a company out at the local international airport here. The amount of energy that it takes to start a commercial jet engine is unbelievable. Um, for the air start on a commercial airliner, these engines are massive, and the amount of energy that you have to create just to get that initial part of the engine to start to rotate is phenomenal. So if it's an elemental, whatever it may be, and you're that close to an airport, yes, that is an energy source.
mhm,
Close to them, whether you're a mile away, 2 miles, whatever it may
It's
be.
about a mile away.
Because I mean, you look at other locations that have paranormal activity that are close to rivers. Rivers are a huge energy source.
Right.
Airports, no, there's same thing.
mhm,
So, can an airport and everything attract UFOs? Yes, absolutely. Can it attract, be an energy source for paranormal activity? Absolutely.
mhm.
So,
Right.
it's a huge energy magnet. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what it is. Energy magnet, like you said. You know, you know, retired. I'm a retired electrician, so you understand where there's energy, especially if it's start up like of anything, like an engine or just to turn on your air conditioner or anything. You need that
yeah,
spike
yeah,
to go to a certain level before you turn that unit
right.
on or machinery, and then it goes back down to the normal level. But you need that spike to turn it on.
And
And
that's
that
why a lot of
spike is where the spirits come in.
yeah,
And
and
that's
that's
the
why
same
a
thing
lot
with
of
the aircraft.
that large machinery have capacitors on them to give that spike
Yeah.
of energy to do it. So I mean, yeah, there were sometimes with the jet engines with the company I was with, we would have to hook this massive diesel powered um, generator to the aircraft before it was going to get that engine to turn over, and to power up the onboard air starter on the aircraft.
Uh-huh.
So it's you know it you know an airport is just it's nothing but an energy source. So
Right. You got that big tower with
mhm.
the radar
radars.
radars, and that's throwing out how far,
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah,
miles and miles and miles. You
yeah.
got the radar, you got the energy from the plane, and the radio waves of them talking back and forth to the plane
Mm-hmm.
to the
To the tower.
tower.
Yeah.
Plus anything else that's in the airport. I worked in airports. I worked at Kenny and I worked at LaGuardia,
Mm-hmm.
as as an electrician to do to hook up whatever they needed to be done. And the use of all that power, yeah,
Right.
there's energy, and it because you're at the airport doesn't mean that that power, like regular EMF, extends outside that area.
Right.
It extends all the way out as far as the power lets it to, you know. So yeah, I, anything's possible with that, especially airports, like you said. You know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that,
Did you feel threatened by it at all?
Did I feel threatened?
Yeah.
No. Like I said, the dogs weren't barking. I felt very at peace, and whatever was flaring off of it, it was pink and like a green color, which to me, anytime I look those colors up, that is like a psychic development and teaching kind of thing.
And heart chakra too.
Yeah.
So
So
that
it wasn't anything negative.
yeah. And we have a couple of energies in our home, and so sometimes the cabinets will open and think, but we're pretty sure that it's a couple of Eric's family members. One time one even asked me to hold on before closing a cupboard that I was getting some cookies out of at night. And we think that was his grandma who had a sweet tooth, but we don't feel bad about it. I've let them know they can move on if they want. And so that's why I asked, because if it's something that's not really bothering
I'm
you.
tell Eric to do the dishes. That's what it is.
I've also had like really strange things happen. I've woken up in the middle of the night and there was a shape of a human body, almost like as if you went to a crime scene and they chalked it, and it was on the ceiling above me. So I think I have, like ascended masters around me all the time, or, spirit guides and things like that. And I think it's just that, like, they're flocking to us to try to help us and assist us and, do whatever we need at that moment.
Yeah. I think so when I did my first Reiki attunement, my first guide that I was aware of came to me. His name is Asher. He had a bald head. He was in a robe. He's very tall and broad shouldered. And after I'd done my Reiki training and I was trying to really get in tune and accept my gifts and things, I'm sitting in the bathtub. I've got a spirit quartz on my third eye chakra. And all of a sudden, I'm home alone, except for the cats and my dog. And I hear this booming male voice go, "You don't need to open your third eye. It's already open." And I'm like in the bathtub looking around. And so I do believe we all
First of all,
have.
you're like, who's watching me in the bathtub?
Right. And the cats, one of the cats like to stand on the edge of the tub while I was taking a bath. And so I'm like this and he flies off and it was crazy. But I do feel like so when I do the grounding, I call in, God, our angels, our guides, our ancestors. Those are my big four.
Yeah.
Because I do believe they're there. And I don't know about you. I get like sometimes a tapping on my head or that ringing in my ears. And those are kind of signs that I need to listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I call in Archangel Michael, Ascended Masters, my deceased loved ones, my ancestors, whatever. And like, I just do whatever feels right at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I have had really strange things happen too. Like I was out to dinner, and I think, Scott, this is what you were referring to. I was out to dinner and I get a phone call from our daughter and she's panicking and crying hysterically and she's screaming into the phone, "You need to come home right now." And our food gets put in front of us at that moment. And I'm like, what is happening?
Perfect timing.
And she's like, "You're on the phone in every room in the house." And I'm like, "What?" And she said, "It sounds like you're on the phone in every room in the house. You need to come home right now." And I said, "So it sounds like I'm on the phone and you can hear my side of the conversation, but not the other side?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Check, please." There's like a mimic that shows up every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear her voice. I hear my mother, who's deceased. I hear my husband. They hear me. Sometimes I hear myself. And that's when I know time to get to work, time to get out the Palo Santo, sweetgrass, sage, whatever. I go, to the basement. I immediately start from the bottom, work my way up. And
yeah, those pesky little doppelgangers that get you.
They always use me for some reason.
Yeah.
I've looked in the mirror and I didn't look like myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've played games, and when they use like the powerful one in the house, that's when they're getting to the nitty gritty. And that's when I'm like, everyone out, time to handle this shit. We're getting down to business. Everyone go shopping, go to dinner, do something, get out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens a lot.
Trans Allegheny, when we went there, Josie,
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the back, where we had the central where we setting up everything and everything. I just came back from my little area doing my little walk. He comes walking back. He goes, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I've been here for like 5-10 minutes." He goes, "I just seen you down the hall over here." I
Yeah.
said, "Well, I'm not that fast, It's like he goes, "I just seen you." I'm like, "What are you doing here?" It's like, I don't know. And the funny thing is, he had my obelisk. He had my obelisk on it, and at the same time, he seen me. It said Anthony on my obelisk.
Oh, really?
So I was like, "That's pretty cool," It said my
yeah.
name. He seen me. He said I see me, and then my name comes up in the obelisk, and then he sees me somewhere totally different. You know.
Well, I mean, you had timing and relevance there with it, so I mean, so something was definitely intelligent there. So, that's very interesting. I remember you telling me that story, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. So,
yeah.
But yeah, Trans Allegheny is just the amount of evidence you can gather there. I could probably go through our evidence again and find all new stuff. I mean, that's just how active that place is. So.
That's a place still. That's the most haunted place I've been to so far.
Have you been to Waverly?
I haven't been to Waverly, but I've been to West Virginia Penitentiary.
Okay. I
also been to the Conjuring. I also been to Hinsdale. Penhurst.
I actually have to rank as far as most haunted goes. I have to rank Waverly just a hair above Tala, but they're both very active places. Waverly, if you get the chance to go, definitely you want to go. I know they've got some issues going on there right now, but
that's the only thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go there before Tala.
Yeah, we
We were
were.
supposed to go Waverly, and then something happened, and then we all went to Tala.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, from what I understand, it has something to do with the owners and the historical society are at odds right now. So, but it's something to definitely keep an eye out on. So,
I'll
because
probably one day you guys doing it and check it out with you.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I'm going to be doing the Conjuring again with Ron Lourdes and Hinsdale going to there. So.
Yeah.
Eric said he'd like to go to the Ohio State Reformatory where Shawshank Redemption was filmed.
Yeah,
that'd
be
cool.
That would be amazing as well. And of course, we've got plenty of locations around us here as well. But these locations that what are like the Shawshank Prison, Tala, Waverly, St. Augustine Lighthouse, and all that stuff. Those are like your bucket list locations.
And
Eric say Alcatraz.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah,
and I told him I've been there.
1986. That's how long back I did it. And that was, and it was like I was on a tour with people, but of course, you break off the tour, and I had a lot of experience. Matter of fact, back then wasn't much equipment; it was mostly cameras and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And my camera inside the place, all my film was no good. I was
wow.
I took it on the outside going into the place. Everything was taken great, beautiful. I go inside the place, nothing. And I come back out, took pictures again. It doesn't look 35 millimeter cameras. That wasn't a digital nothing. Yeah, you sometimes you might. Everything inside was like it looked like somebody put their hand over it. It was like all blurry and stuff.
Right.
The energy up there is insane. And like you were talking about, Maureen, my ex-husband, I went with him to San Francisco and we went to Alcatraz, and I had him take a picture of me in one of the cells because I could feel, the energy coming from it. And so I'm holding onto the bars. The face in the picture looked like an old man. It was not me. And it was like a real mean, but it was an old man. And I don't have the picture anymore because it's really creepy.
Yeah.
I have a picture of somebody in the window as we were going up on the docks. Back then in '86, it was still half the place you could go to. It wasn't fixed up. And when we were pulling up, it looked like people. I got pictures of it. It looked like two people standing, waiting at the docks for us. And so I told the guy, "Who's those people?" And the guy, "What people?" The ranger that was giving the tour. He goes, "There's nobody on this dock until we get there because we were the first tour."
Mm-hmm.
So there was nobody there.
Yeah.
And it looked like two people standing by the dock. And then as I was about to enter the building, I took somebody who was my ex-wife. She was with me. She took a picture of me, and you can see somebody like looking out the window.
Oh, wow.
So I got that. Plus, I got tons of experience. I actually wrote a big story about it.
Cool.
One day I'll have it published. But but that was great.
That makes me want to ask, Anthony. I mean, compared to when you first started doing this to now, what has changed with like your documentation of evidence, storage of evidence, and whatnot? I know that when I first started, it was a hobby. Even when I was a cop, I had a fellow police officer. Me and him would go, to some locations around town. We got some evidence in there, but we can't find any of it now. Just because we were doing it as a hobby right there, I didn't know any better. But I mean, how have you changed over the years in those regards?
Well, back then, I remember I started to take pictures when I was 13. Before that, I experienced things since I was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually went into cemeteries by myself. 1974, 73, 74. I used to go to cemeteries by myself.
Wow.
To get pictures. Yeah. And back then, nobody could talk about it. And I had nobody to talk to about it.
Right.
So you go take these pictures and you go out there. And I used to go to cemeteries at nighttime. In Queens, they lock cemeteries at 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the afternoon, 4:30. If you're in those cemeteries, they lock you in.
Oh.
You're locked in.
You're
now
there
they got
for the long haul.
fences with spikes on top.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we figured out a way to get into the cemetery at nighttime.
Okay.
And I used to go there by myself at night. Sometimes it was scary because you don't know what the hell pops out of the woods or, from you're walking. And I didn't have a flashlight or nothing. I just walk in there because we used to go with like the moonlight and, what was outside from the street that was coming in. So you go in there and it wasn't pitch black. You had some you could see it. Well, your eyes adjust after a while. And you go in there and you take pictures. But back then, when you're that age, it's very hard to buy film when you have no money. So you know what I mean? And then when you buy the film, it was great. I had the film. I took all these pictures. I had a bunch of pictures, a bunch of these little things of film. Who could afford to develop them?
Right.
So some of the ones I did develop, but a lot of them didn't get developed. So I have more experiences from that time because, plus the ones I did get developed, I didn't know what I was looking at half the time. Now you know what you're looking at. You take a little more time to look at, and when you have a picture in front of you, it's not like the digital stuff where you can go in and you zoom bigger. Back then, you get the old microscope out or the
Magnifying
glass.
Yeah, or spy. You get something. You're like, is that something in the corner there?
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like now. So I'm glad stuff's changed. Plus, I went in there with dowsing rods and compass because I didn't know what a EMF detector was.
Right.
Compass. That's the first. That's the first one because it's the basic same thing.
Yeah.
It's done with electrical charges. It's
Yeah.
done with the
It's a
magnetic
conductor.
field.
Yeah.
So yeah, things have changed, and now, now you got all this stuff. You get it. You take your SD card out. You throw it on your computer, and then
Yeah.
you sit there on your computer. Do. Back then, you had to wait for the development of the film. You had to wait to get the money to develop your film. You know,
Yeah.
and so it was more experiences back then. You know, now I'm older now, and I remember a lot of. See, that's the whole thing. It's like when I experience something, I still remember it. It doesn't matter how old I was, I remember it. And I've been writing stories about all that.
Hmm.
Plus, I draw what I see now.
Right.
You know, I'm doing a spirit art show with Richard Masella. I
Hmm.
won't say his name, but we're doing an art show, a spirit art show in North Jersey at the Ritz Theater, and we're going to because when he sees spirits, he tells you about the spirit, but he draws what he sees
Right.
and he presents it. So we're doing a little art show with that.
Yeah.
Um,
I
showing
remember
stuff.
you draw your stuff out as well. That's pretty good. I wish I was a good enough artist to do it, but if I were to do it, it looked like something out of kindergarten arts and crafts class. I'm not an artist. So I won't even pretend that I can do that. So
When I saw that
Stick
you do
figures,
that,
stick figures always good. Stick figures with eyes.
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
but then again, my stick figures, and unintentionally end up looking obscene somehow. So I don't know, but yeah, it's really I can even tell a change from when I started doing this in, well, I guess officially in 2011. Uh, Again, I would drive around in some of the graveyards when I was on patrol, and me and the other officer we would go around and do some stuff. And even then we were using tape recorders for EVPs, and with the little micro cassettes in it. And
Yes.
so and so that's where we started at with it. Now everything's digital. It's so clear. Um, I just bought 2 new EVP live listening recorders that you could hear a gnat, you know, take a crap somewhere 3 blocks down the road with this thing. So it's really sensitive. So now, if we deploy those, we have to be very, very careful about stuff like tagging. If we sneeze or if we drag our feet or whatnot, of saying, "Hey, that was me."
Yeah. Or Becca
because
gets the hiccups a lot, so Everett's like, and that was Becca hiccuping.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That does. You don't realize how bad that is when people don't. But when we first started, nobody knew. It's like
well,
somebody's stomach would growl, and you'd be
mhm,
like, somebody, and then you listen to the playback. It's like, did somebody just say something? Or I had one that, and I have cameras, so I did videotape some of the stuff. But this is what the video I started doing with the videos back in
right.
2008, 2009. That's when I started videoing more. Before it was just a camera, and that's before even the cell phones had cameras. So it's like you.
Well,
Um,
well, for
I,
I mean, yeah. So you know, and it's important. I mean, how you use all this stuff as well. Because take for instance that the Becca and I did a sensory deprivation session. I had set up a night vision camera on her, and for some reason the microphone failed on it. But I had one of these new recorders out on the other side of the house. This is how sensitive the thing was. Now, one of the things that I do when I start the video up is right the moment I hit the record button, I say mark. That way, in the audio recorders and everything, know that, if something were to fail, we go back to the audio recorders and rely on it for our audio on the videos. So when we got that going, and when I went into review and I realized, oh no, the microphone failed on the camera, we basically lost this entire sensory deprivation session. No, the recorder I had set up caught all of the audio, including every car that drove by the road during that time as well. And because I said mark on it, I knew where to, when we put it in our software, where to match that audio with the video, and I was able to recover the audio for that sensory deprivation session and match it to a video and produce the video. So, that's so your techniques are important, with it as well. So, and I think a lot of that is changed through the years as well, especially since everything's gone digital. So.
Yeah, well, a lot of the microphones and video and everything that we're doing got better also. Some of the equipment that comes out, sometimes it's good equipment. But I've been noticing a lot of equipment that's coming out a little more fancy and stuff. It's the same equipment from back when we had it, and all they're doing is putting it into a fancier box and charging the double the price.
Well, yeah,
it's nothing different.
Yeah, I mean it is, and but also, I mean, look at Ron and Tony with EDPI with all their direct radio stuff. You're talking about technology that was first developed, decades ago in Italy, of all places, that was using a tube radio. When's the last time you saw a tube radio? I mean,
I got one inside.
Well, I mean, I should have expected that. But I mean, but on a normal basis, when's the last time you really saw a functioning tube radio? But everything now is digital, solid state, whatever you want to call it. And but the technology has progressed, and they are bringing back a very old method. Really, it's not new technology. They're going back to something that is old and tried and true. So you got to always remember those methods as well. So.
Yeah, well, you can't forget where the stuff came from. Also, that's what happens. And the technology that they're doing right now, Ron Lourdes, Tony Sherry, it was Europe. It was done in Europe so many years ago. But when it came to the United States, what we are a little lazy over here, and we get a cassette radio, we get a little AM/FM radio, break a thing off and say, shh. Okay, it does work. Those two, the spirit boxes I have work. I had a lot of success in spirit boxes. Mm-hmm. But what they're doing now is they took white noise and they're feeding it through all these programs in the computer, and they're getting words.
Yeah, they're having full conversation.
And it's just white noise. It's just a shh. How can you sound out of that?
Yeah.
So they're not only bringing something back, they're modernizing it. Mm-hmm. Like the car. The car is nothing new. They're coming out with all kinds of new models of cars, but it's still based on the same engine, with the burst. Okay, now they're coming out electric cars and stuff, but everything started. Electric cars started back then also, but they wanted to do the gas, and it was a different way of doing it. But electric cars were around for a long time. That was one of the first made cars also. That and the steam cars, but They look, the car back then was 25 miles per hour. Now you got cars going 200 miles per hour,
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you got 700 horsepower engines where they had like a one-stroke engine. You know,
Yeah.
so everything gets modernized, and that's what they're doing. They're bringing something that was in the past, a dinosaur, and bringing it to the future, but
Yeah.
they're making it to something special. But
Yeah.
that's what I like about the methods.
Well, who do you think's had more influence in the technological advance of in this field? Shows like Ghost Hunters and whatnot on TV, or Ed and Lorraine Warren. They were very well known to take recordings and record EVP sessions. Who do you think has had the most influence on technology today?
Technology today, well, you still got to start back then when and Lorraine, with their equipment that they used. That just went into, okay, they now into the modern, they recorded everything on the reel to reel tapes. Now we got a little cassette record, not even cassette, digital recorders that we hold in our hands.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did is open up a field to equipment that wasn't really, you know, known to the field. A lot of the equipment too. When I first started, I started with the fancy equipment. You know where I used to buy my equipment?
Radio
Home
Shack.
Depot, Home
All right.
Depot, and hardware stores. Yeah, EMF, electric magnetic field.
Yeah, I mean,
Electricians use that.
yeah,
A lot of people use that.
yeah.
Yeah, look, EVPs. Where does those cassette tapes come from?
Mhm.
They were made for offices where somebody does dictations
Dictations.
on
Yeah.
and stuff like that. They just brought that into our field, and it just went from that point on. And then other people come up with other stuff, and look at the SLS. That's for a video game.
Yeah.
That was made for the Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how we got it. Before there was the Xbox, it was used on other fields to get like the facial erect, the facial things on people's faces and stuff. And then Xbox made it for a video game. And then next thing you know, we're putting into the SLS into our field.
Yeah.
So everything comes from somebody, and there's always somebody with that one idea that is going to bring it forward.
Yeah.
So,
And the same technology of SLS is now being used. It's advanced to the point now that they're using it to create CGI images of of people in movies now.
Yep.
that's right.
That's they recreate the last Ghostbusters movie. I believe they use technology like that to recreate Egon, who the actor has passed away decades ago, and but to recreate him as a spirit in that movie, they use very similar technology.
Yeah.
So
Kind of like the deep fakes on the internet where you see like Tom Cruise, but it's not Tom Cruise.
yeah, and Tom Cruise is just
He's out there.
He's out there, but he makes some really great movies. But I tell you what, he's a special character in this world. So
Yeah, he is. But the technology with what we're doing, it's going in the right direction. But even with the movies and all that stuff, nowadays we got to watch what people's evidence that comes out too.
Mm-hmm.
How many times on YouTube you see these things like you're like, whoa, that's wild, but is that that's and it's sometimes you can't even tell the difference now.
Right.
You can't tell the difference, and that's what's scary because how are we going to get our field in order and believed when you have shit like that coming out, you know?
Yeah.
Especially because there are already people who are so skeptical that they're looking for it. And so you may have real evidence, but because somebody else photoshopped something, like with the elemental, it's awesome evidence, but I could see somebody being like, did you create that with like, something?
Yeah.
No.
You're exactly right. But also then again, to the extent that, Anthony's talking about, where it looks so realistic. Hey, I don't have the millions of dollars for the software and equipment to do that. But because these platforms that the movie companies are using, that you're $1 million is just a drop in the bucket into that technology. So so I don't have that kind of money to begin with. So
it's the same thing with card readers or psychic mediums, though. I mean, there's going to be a skeptic everywhere, and I always say that if I have a skeptic sitting in front of me, I love it, because that's the person that's going to keep me honest, and I like to make a believer out of a skeptic. When I'm on point, there's and they're like, well, how you got that off of the internet, or how do I know that you're coming to me if there's a Halloween party in front of me? Okay, so then ask me something that no one else would ever know about you. They're like, blown away. I love that.
And I just read the comment there, and I have to agree with Jennifer McClure, one of our team members. The Blair Witch Project did not do us any favors. It creates a lot of skeptics in this field, because it's known as fake. Now, people ask me, do I watch the Blair Witch Project? I'm like, no.
I saw it because I had a friend that worked at the cinema, and he could get friends in for free. So a friend and I went. She ended up throwing up in the popcorn bag because the cinematography was so horrible. And I was just like, what am I watching?
I liked it.
One of the worst horror movies ever.
You don't believe everything you see on TV, even when you watch shows. I watch things with movies. Look at Poker Guys. If you want to blame anything, blame that. When that movie came out in 1980, that's it. And also, when The Shining first came out, they're showing pools of blood all over the place,
Right.
And they're showing ghosts, like, really, the way they're going to attack you, how they possess you and stuff like that. I mean, if you go with the movies and you go in and just go as entertainment, sure. But you're going to go in and try to learn something from that. I mean, the shows are out. When I first started coming out, and I don't go against the shows, because if it wasn't for the shows back in 2004, we wouldn't be talking about the paranormal like the way we're talking about it right now. We wouldn't have this many people that are into it and believe it. Because of the shows, it's what opened the field. Okay, now the shows, some of them got far-fetched and they went all over the place.
We have extended conversations about one particular show.
Everybody has a conversation about
that.
It's in the comments.
We see the show that we shall not name.
Comments and see which one we're talking about there, but I steer away from attracting any attention to that, because I can't afford any liability suits. So, but there are certain shows out there that you look at, and you look at them from one perspective. Okay, yes, they're going into known haunted locations and everything, and then you look at some of the things they do, and you're like, oh God, that's stupid. Why did you do that?
And why? What are they doing? There was one show I remember, which I liked, and I watched it all the time. I did, where, I mean, if I say, you might even know the show, don't say the name, but they actually caught the ghost, and then they blew him up inside the container they had him in, because they didn't know what to do with
I know what you're talking about.
I'm like, what? And I actually I know the people that did the show, and I asked the person, "What?" He just looked at it, he
It
just
was
like
fixed
rolled his
energy.
eyes and like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I know." But that was for ratings. That's for stuff for ratings.
If they
So
actually had it caught in that device and they blew it up, all they did was feed it energy.
Mhm.
and they released it.
Take it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. It took off and said, "Thanks for the energy boost, guys. See ya."
Yeah,
Well,
that's right. Now go somewhere else.
Access. Yep.
yeah.
So I mean, you gotta take everything you see with a grain of salt
Oh yeah.
nowadays because
Well, I know someone from that particular show as well, and that person had told me that they got sick of that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why they are no longer a part of that stuff,
Right.
and there is no more of that stuff
Right.
for them.
yeah,
I'm trying to be
well,
really careful here.
I know who you're talking about because I'm friendly with them too, and I
Yeah.
was talking to that person, and I also know the other couple people on the show, and that's why the show is not there no more
Oh
because
no, it's
they all
there.
went their own way.
Is it still on?
Yes.
Reruns,
Oh,
maybe.
okay.
But it's cut down. The people are cut down drastically to just a very small number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, yeah, but the show went different ways and stuff. But they're doing ratings, okay. But I mean, if you watch those shows, you still can learn a technique, a certain
Right.
technique from that show, and
Yeah.
that's how they sell equipment too. A lot of these people give equipment to these guys to use, and some of the equipment they do give. That's how I found out about the SLS, the Obelisk. I got the
Mhm.
original Obelisk, the Obelisk PX,
Yeah.
and that has the robotic voice.
Yeah.
That's one of the originals,
Yeah.
and um, that's how I learned about all that stuff. I'm like, they're actually talking to us. Let me get this. And even the spirit box, a lot of them play the spirit box. That's
Yeah.
the first time I've heard of on the shows.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the equipment I do use now, from what I learned, I listened to on the show because I like that. And then I took it to me, and I used it the way I'm going to use it,
Mm-hmm.
not the way they show me. And some of the equipment I bought from the shows, I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I don't haven't used it.
I
You
still
know?
watch the shows. I mean, not all of them, but I watch a lot of them because I love the history behind the places. I really love when I see new equipment or a new way of investigating or
Right.
something that's different. And if they're messing with the integrity of things, that's just entertainment for me.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's helped us too as a team to say these are things that we're not going to do, like a recent one where there was a lot of provoking of certain things in a certain way. And we were like, this is not something we're doing on our team.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize the actual danger behind provoking.
Right.
Because let's say I'm in a room and I'm investigating with Becca. I provoke a spirit. That spirit does something that hurts Becca. That's on me. So if we our rule on the team is if we believe we're in a situation where we're going to need to provoke, we have to back out. We have to meet at our command post. We have to have a safety meeting, discuss what's going on and the reason why we need to provoke. And then we will, send a team in that is fully prepared to go in and, if something were to retaliate, we're prepared for it. But it's not something that we do like it's right off the cuff and start calling the spirit out. We did have to back out and discuss it. So
Yeah.
I mean, it just, you have, like I said, the biggest thing is always the safety. And I got a question. When you have your team meeting, or you new members, what's the initiation? They got to smoke a cigar?
well, we'll think of something.
Attack in the RV overnight alone.
If you're on team, you got to smoke a cigar and drink some bourbon, and you'll be fine.
I don't do either of these things. I'm not part of the team.
First. Yeah. I got to get done remodeling this thing. When we first bought it, the interior design of it looked like it was designed for somebody's grandmother. So I've been doing a lot of painting, a lot of fixing some stuff and putting some newer technology into it as well. So, but I'll get all that done before I have anybody have to do that kind of trial. So.
I did a place up in the Poconos that's like in a park, and there's like trailers, but it's not a trailer park. It's like a modular home type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The decks around it. I got a deck and some gazebo and all of the. Oh yeah, and to get around the community, I got a golf cart. To drive around with the golf cart. Of course, the golf cart has
nice
paranormal stuff on it.
Mhm.
But the trailers are pretty cool. I like them. I like that. What you got there, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. We're going to next month. We are going to Montgomery House, the place that Chris Allgood and Audra, they maintain and operate investigations out of, and that's going to be our first test run with it as a mobile command center. Give us a chance to work out the bugs and find out what all we need to do. I'm connected to the current Wi-Fi router in it at the moment, but I get the feeling I'm going to need to upgrade it to something that has a little more range. But for right now, it'll connect to my house, and we're able to do what we're doing right now.
Especially if you have all that equipment that's got to be connected to it.
Yeah, we have a wireless DVR system, which requires a Wi-Fi signal. That's why we couldn't break it out at Trans-Allegheny, because the place is just so massive, so much steel, so much concrete that I would have never been able to get a Wi-Fi signal.
That place,
but on places like the USS North Carolina that has a public Wi-Fi, we were able to tap into it and operate the DVR system. So I mean, you've got some of these locations that are coming around to some of the newer technology and realize that these people investigating, they need these things for the equipment to work. So maybe
we have 2 DVR systems, and back then everything was hardwired.
Yeah.
No Wi-Fi. Everything was hardwired. Now you're running 100 feet of freaking cable to. I have 4 camera ones. If I had any more than that, I think I'd go crazy because hundreds of feet to a camera that's on the other side. Now you have to find a power source for it. And a lot of the places don't have power sources, so now you got to figure out how to hook it up to a battery and hope the battery stays the whole freaking night. Yeah. Oh.
Well, we were working on a project. Unfortunately, it fell through, but the DVR system we were looking at was going to require at least 12 cameras. And part of me was like, that's a lot of repeat.
That's right.
I was kind of dreading that to some degree, but it was going to be what was needed to cover the location. But we have a 4-camera wireless system that works really well. We've got some fantastic evidence on it as well, especially at residential. It's perfect for residential investigations, which is our bread and butter to begin with. So, I just think we're going to need to make probably an upgrade to the Wi-Fi router for the command center. Just to make sure we have enough coverage in any given location, within reason. So, yeah.
How many people sleep in that thing? Because you're gonna have 10 people in your team go with you.
Actually, it sleeps 8 in the with the beds that are in it, between the master bedroom, the fold out sofa, and the dinette. All become beds. But then, well, I do have enough room that if we need to put a air mattress somewhere, so we can do that. So
Go outside in a tent. That's all. Just throw a tent and some air mattress out there.
Yeah.
Draw straws to see who goes in the tent.
Yeah.
Who gets to use the bathroom first?
That's another thing. In the morning, you have to use. You got one bathroom, and how big's the tank of water in there?
This one has a 45-gallon dark water tank and gray water tank, and then
That's good for 3 showers.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll have to make rules on what people.
I would get up extra early just to take a shower.
Well,
water.
that's, and when I first got it, for some reason, Everett on our team was fascinated with wanting to take a shit in our toilet. So, and I don't know why.
See, Everett, it's not just the spirits calling you out.
The exercising. The spirits are all God.
Yeah, fascinated with wanting to take a shit in it, and I was like, okay, so, yeah. I'm like, well, that tank's gonna get filled up quick with Everett. So.
Eric said he's sleeping in the master suite.
The windows must be open and everything else. No, get the what do you call it? Spray, the Febreze,
like the poopery.
Yeah, the poopery.
Candles.
Spray in the toilet.
Yeah. I'll have to find something.
This place is cleared.
Yeah. Releasing the spirits.
Have the people running. We may not run from the ghost, but we'll run from the bathroom.
There's no more spirits here. Well, there's not people there neither. What the hell did you do in the bathroom?
And no, Jennifer, he hasn't taken a shit in it yet. I'm pretty sure. I just read her comment. No.
Give a white bucket and say, "Here, go outside."
Yeah. That's probably what I'm going to do with him. Saying, man, you're going to have to go find a bush or something.
Here's the toilet paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's some leaves. Go help yourself.
Yeah.
Make sure it's not poison ivy.
Yeah.
So before we release everyone for the evening, is there any shameless plugs you'd like to give to yourselves, or is there any place you'll be, or?
We're planning on being at Gettysburg. Becca, are you and Eric going to try and make that?
I know I want to. We're gonna see if it's something that we can fit in.
Right. Me and my wife Heather are definitely going to try and be up there. We have Montgomery House coming up next month, and we have another residential investigation we're working on. We're hopefully going to have it closed out probably within the next few weeks. I've been talking with the homeowner for it as well. As far as new things for us, we have our website up now, PiedmontParanormal.com. It will have links to not only evidence, but to all of our social media outlets.
And what was it again?
PiedmontParanormal.com.
Okay.
And
we have the YouTube channel.
We have the YouTube channel as well. We're trying to get new content on it constantly, but between working full time and then trying to operate this team full time, sometimes you got to focus on what pays the bills first. So,
right.
So,
Scott created a page, North American Paraunification, which is a great page for sharing events that you have, information, evidence, all of those things, learning.
Yeah, our team is very, very big on paraunity.
So it's North American.
North American Paraunification Initiative.
Yes.
Oh my God. Paraunification
Initiative.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I have all this right.
Yeah, and we've got that. Of course, we've got our Facebook page, both public, and we have the groups set up. We have both a public group and private group just for the team as well, where we do a lot of our communication with. We are, thanks to Becca, I have I've decided to start venturing into the worlds of TikTok and Instagram. She's made some suggestions for us to try and get our names out there a little more. So I'm test running TikTok and everything now. So if you see an invite come from me, they're like, oh, haven't seen him, do this for. Yeah, it's me. But a lot of people know that I don't like having more than one social media outlet. It's my life. I've got enough on my plate as it is already. But if this is what I got to do, it's what I got to do. So.
And some of the things, Scott, that you create for TikTok or for Facebook, you can share. Like sometimes I'll do a video in TikTok and then share it to Facebook so that I'm not having to create content for everything.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of.
If you have anything that you want to share on Facebook, and you put it in the Seekers Club page.
I do. I share to your Seekers Club.
If you have anything you want to add, put on there, you can.
Oh, okay.
You can put it on a Lil Witchy as well.
Okay, good deal. I'll do that. Like I said, I'm still learning a lot of this social media stuff. Becca's got a firmer grip on that than I do. So yeah. There'll be times where I'm probably going to call her up and go, what do we need to do here? so but yeah.
So, on Gettysburg, what are you getting there? You getting there Friday or Thursday?
We'll probably. I'm hoping to be there Thursday. It may be Friday because it depends on what my wife's work schedule is at that time. She's a nurse on a hospital floor, and they're short staffed. So and
like every hospital in the country.
Yeah. So she works a really odd schedule. One day she can end up working like 3 days in a row, then another day she's working every other day, and then some other kind of crazy shit, and you never know.
Well, if you get there Thursday, give me a call.
All right, we'll do.
Anthony, I'll be there Thursday.
Okay, we'll hang out. Where you staying, Maureen?
Yeah. Oh, and also just I guess another shameless plug for everybody who's in the chat. You can catch me and Becca again this coming Monday. We're going to be on Entity Voices as well.
Yes, yes, it's going to be Entity Voices on Monday.
Yep.
Monday 9:00. Check them out.
Yep.
Matter of fact, we had their whole team on LT over here already. So
yeah. We're going to have a bunch of evidence to present, new evidence that wasn't seen on our first appearance. So it's going to be all new evidence. We're going to revisit, I think, one piece on it, but it's not. I've got to talk with Chris about one aspect of it. It's going to have something to do with the USS North Carolina, but I may ask him to break out a piece of his evidence as well for us to go over something, a comparison with. I did some research on, and so we could.
That place I want to go to with you guys.
Yeah, come on down.
I've been wanting to go there for a long time. One of the guys on my team that passed. That's one place we wanted to go together, but he ended up getting sick and everything, and we ended up not going. But I just visited I just went to his house and visited the wife and the family because I was very close with him. He was my best friend, and she actually gave me one of his rings that he used to wear.
Oh wow! Good.
And he comes through a lot of times on our equipment, on EVPs, and he comes across. Matter of fact, Ron Yacovetti got him saying his full name on the thing. It said Joe.
Wow. Oh yeah, I remember y'all talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
he'll probably be with you on that ship if you come.
That's possible.
Yeah. Well, I got his ring now, and his wife wants to have us take some of his equipment too. So, because his daughter's into it, but not like what he was and stuff.
Yeah.
And I, plus we carry him and all things. So yeah, definitely want to go to the Carolina with you guys.
Yeah, right now we're looking at probably later in the year, September, October-ish, somewhere in there. Some of the cooler months, not cold, and definitely not the hotter months, because last time we went, it was the middle of July. There's something, you got to realize about being inside a big metal box, that the environment affects it greatly. So it's either, if you go in the winter months or the summer months, you're either going to be extremely hot or extremely cold in that thing. And it doesn't matter if it's at night or not, that thing is going to hold heat or not hold heat.
Like a desert.
Yeah.
Very hard to keep that thing cold or hot. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to try and go in the fall time. So if we get that set up, I'll let you know. And if you're able to make it down, hey, come on down, brother.
I'll stay in the trailer with you guys.
All right. Yeah.
I'll stay in the camper with you guys. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'd love to get there, and we've been talking about it. But I got to be, if it's in September, we got to see what it is in September, because I'm doing the September is a Sleepy Hollow Paracon.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there.
Like I said, we're still trying to evaluate it, see what we're doing. When we were there in July, last July, they were doing some repair and construction work on it, so we weren't able to get to some of the upper decks where we would have loved to go, like the officers' quarters and stuff like that, because they were just closed off, for safety reasons. But we were out standing, admiring the ship from the bow. And we looked up at the, up at the wheelhouse, and we could see movement up there, and we know there was nobody up there. Awesome. And if I'd had my drone with me at that time, I would have flown it up there and put the cameras through the windows to see if I could see what was going on. But unfortunately, I had not purchased the drone at that point, and but we have it now. I'm kind of glad, so can't wait to start using it on some investigations. So.
That's awesome. Like I said, I would love to go there with you guys. Like I said, I want to go to. I haven't done a battleship yet. It's one of the few things I haven't done.
Oh yeah.
We have them up over here in Buffalo, but the SS Sullivan, and we've got a couple of submarines up there.
Right.
But Buffalo, I like out of the year, like I was saying, about 8 months out of the year, they're under like 40 feet of snow.
Yeah.
You can keep it up there.
We've also talked about heading up to Fort Mifflin up there, which is far from me. So
you go to Fort Mifflin?
We're talking about going up there. So
you guys go. Let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to try and do the Shanley with you a little bit.
Oh, you want to do the Shanley? Let me know.
Yeah, man.
I've been wanting to get a because I already spoke to Kelly about having a group in, and she gave me a nice price, and we'll have the whole building for the whole weekend.
Oh wow!
Now, you know what I mean. But now it's built. It's getting more popular. Place gets, the more of the weekends they get booked up.
Right.
So we could get it for a whole weekend now. Sus.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We sleep there and everything. Inside the
Becca, we have a question for you. And we have to make this quick. We have another show at 10. Have you ever been to Tombstone and had any experience from outlaws from the Old West?
I have. Where is Tombstone? I'm not familiar.
Arizona. Tombstone, Arizona.
Okay.
White Earth, and all that stuff. Where the
gotcha.
Out at the OK
Corral. Like the movie with Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Young Guns.
I want to go there. I think that would be a fascinating place. Had plans to go there. Had a friend who lived in Arizona, just like only 45 minutes away from Tombstone. Unfortunately, he passed away last year, and so
I'm sorry.
We're not. And his wife is moving back to her home state of Indiana. as far as having some kind of ties there, I don't really have them, but I really want to go there.
I know the Raptors have been there.
Yeah.
The Raptors have been there, and Chris has been there. I think that's
Chris,
where
Chris
they
and
met.
Audra actually lived there.
Oh wow.
Right. Yeah.
They lived right in Tombstone?
I think they lived in the area.
Yeah, they lived in the area.
Yeah.
They live very close, actually, and I think that's where they met.
Tony.
I think they met the
Tony
Rathmans there.
Yeah.
I've not been there. My only experience that I guess could be similar to
I'll
Old
give you
West
Huckleberry.
was when I was in the 8th grade, we went to a powwow in Cherokee, and I couldn't yet kind of see things, but I could sense and feel. That's how it started, was being able to sense and feel. And I felt a very deep connection to the area, and I could feel some of the pain and emotions and things that went with it. So it would be interesting, now that my abilities, I've accepted them and they've grown, to see what I could see in different areas like that.
Yeah.
One of the things I speaking to those types of areas, I kind of known Native American lands that are possibly haunted. Everything. I try to stay away from, not because it's scary, but out of respect for those lands. Of course, anywhere in the United States you investigate, there's a possibility you're going to run across Native American activity. And sometimes it's just unavoidable. But for me to intentionally go to one of these locations, I don't want to do that because of the respect I hold for that heritage. So. Right.
Yeah, West Virginia Penitentiary. That was right in front of it. There's a mount of Indian, the American natives that were there. Hidgedale, that was American native land. That whole area, Hidgedale House. Okay, I know the Helderman Mansion. They actually found later on. They found graves of American natives in that area, and they now the tribe of that area is coming in and preserving a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of places that we do have big hauntings step back somewhere too, especially if a building was put there later on.
Right. Because they can be attached to the land.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, there were, growing up in the area that I grew up, there was more than one time that I'd go walking through the woods back behind our house, and through various things that I was doing, find an arrowhead laying around. And so the area I grew up in was known to have Native American tribes. So and that's a lot of that respect I have for that heritage was founded by finding stuff like that on the property that my parents owned. We lived on, and so that's one of the reasons why I do hold respect for that heritage. So.
Right.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I mean, but sometimes, like you said, locations you can't help it. You're going to go to a location.
Yeah.
You just bring an offering to them. That's all.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't know it's that until you actually do an investigation, and then you come up with all the evidence on your recordings, EVPs, or just seeing maybe a full body apparition, or just a disembodied voice you might hear. I've been to places where the language was some sort of Native American. One place I went to, imagine, was Hinsdale, and we got a recording, and it said something on it, and one of the people with us was part Native American, and they just said something about what was it? The beginning of time, something like that, and but why would they say that? But there was all kinds of Indian medicine men and all that.
Right.
the beliefs and everything, and you don't know why they bring something up, or maybe it's just something that's been there forever, and we finally caught it on
Right.
some sort of device.
Right.
So, yeah, I can respect that.
Okay,
All right.
so Bobby's going to start his show in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
So
thank you guys for having us on here.
thank you
Absolutely.
for being with us. You guys are wonderful. I'd love to have you back again sometime if you're interested.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll try to get on. Maybe we get a couple other members from our team on with you, so you can take care of their experiences as well. So
Becca, we need to connect.
Absolutely. I was a Little Witchy.
Yeah.
Is that Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm Seekers Club with Paranormal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
All
we can
right.
all get together sometime, and we'll definitely connect when we get to Gettysburg too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it looks like everybody had a great time. They're all saying great show, and again, thank you for being with us, especially since it was last minute. We appreciate that so much.
Thank you for being patient with my technical issues.
Oh my gosh, that's not a problem at all.
That's usually me every week, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, Anthony usually has a problem at the beginning every week. But thanks for running around the house like a lunatic trying to get connected to us. This is wonderful. Thanks to everyone who's watched.
Anthony kind of pretty much went off without a hitch tonight. So
yeah, that was like a first.
Well, my thing is, let's hope it continues.
He's doing some
hand talk. Connection in my computer for hopefully it holds.
So if anybody wants to stay tuned for Bobby's show, that would be great. And again, thanks for stopping in and watching us tonight. This is Dimensions of the Supernatural. See us next week, same time, same place, and
good night, and forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.